this is Sneha. And today I have with me Utkarsh, who interned at Intuit and is going to start as a full-time engineer soon. So, hi Utkarsh, how are you doing?
Yep, hi, I'm fine. What about you?
Yeah, I'm also doing great. So, first, before we start this whole interview discussion, I want to know more about you, Utkarsh. So, why don't you tell our viewers who you are as a person, something about your technical, something about your non-technicals?
Sure. Hello everyone. I am Utkarsh and I am from JP Institute of Information Technology. Just entered my final year, and as Neha said, I interned with Intuit this summer. And for the record, it was a great summer. It was just greatest summer of my college life, to be honest. And something about myself, I just a normal person. I like watching shows and stuff like that. And I'd like to highlight something really important, that with all the human evolution that we had and all the great things that we have done, there aren't enough good shows around. So I'm quite bored with with my life for that reason. And from the technical aspects, I am into competitive programming. I am into security related stuff, CTFs and all. I've done quite some hackathons also. And yeah, so basically I'm interested in technology and I explore other stuff. I'm quite curious about how things work and how we can make them better. So yeah.
Oh, that's really sweet. So for the viewers, I also interned at Intuit with Utkarsh, and just to give a background of me as well. So I am Sneha. I work primarily with open source technologies. I like making passionate projects, and on like in my free time, I like to sing and stuff. So yeah, I guess that is our bio, and let's get started with the discussion of the interview. Okay, so Utkarsh, you're from a college that is like not NIT, IIT status, but you landed this amazing opportunity. So a lot of viewers have been asking like, how do you get these opportunities? So talk to me about it.
So again, my college is JP Institute of Information Technology, and of course, it's not an IIT or NIT, even triple IT. So Intuit actually came to our college, and very few companies come to college for hiring interns. So before our year, there were zero companies that visited the campus for interns. There were none. So our year was the first one to actually have companies that came to hire interns. So Intuit was the second one. First one was D-Shop that came for a testing position. I wasn't really interested in that. And then Intuit came very late in December, somewhere close. So when you had to grab that opportunity, then it normally started by resume screening, and they screened a lot of resumes around. I guess only 30% or some students they actually proceeded to the online test. Okay,
So
so
if you're talking about your college, so a lot of people ask me like, if our college is not listed in SA, so how do you actually approach to get those offers if they're not coming on campus? So what do you have any knowledge about this, or what would you say the approach should be?
So one of the pretty common approaches, some companies do this all India test for hiring. For example, Goldman Sachs does this.
Right.
So one approach is that, and that is pretty common. Many students get selected through that. Another
But
one is
how do they
the
apply for
alumni
this?
base. So these are all India tests, right? So they
Right.
open a form and you can go to the careers page and fill up the form, and
Right.
then you can give the test, right?
Okay.
Another pretty popular approach is because using your alumni base. So
Right.
wherever you are, from whatever college you are,
Hmm.
there's a pretty high chance that you have an alumni in a specific company that you're targeting,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so you can approach that alumni and ask for a referral,
So
and then if you get a
what
referral.
if they have companies that like what if they have targeting such companies that don't have like the alumni network or anyone in them?
You can contact people through LinkedIn. I've seen people do that a lot. Send a lot of messages to people working. So it should be the first priority should be talk to a senior that you know or you don't know, and then the next priority should be talking to strangers and asking them for referrals, showing your resume. And if your resume is strong, there is a pretty high chance that they'll give you a referral.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of examples of what not to do while sending these referral messages, but maybe that's a topic for another video.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so Utkarsh, so what were your coding round like? Like what were the exact questions that you faced?
So the coding round was of 90 minutes, and they gave us 4 questions to solve.
Right.
The first one was pretty easy. It was a matrix manipulation question, pretty straightforward. We just
Right.
had to implement it. Next one was a variation of knapsack. So if you could figure out that, oh, okay, yes, this is a variation of knapsack, then the code was pretty much exactly same. So I was able to do the first two pretty quickly. Then came the third one. Third one was an optimization problem. So I don't remember the problem exactly, the words, but yeah, the brute force was pretty straightforward, to be honest. You just had to do a nested loop, and you could gain a few partial points from that on.
Right.
So, but to make it optimized, you had to put in a lot of thought. Yeah. So next one was a graph problem. I couldn't solve it in time, I remember, and it was a tough one. It was a nice problem, to be honest, and I don't think no one, any of my friends could solve it either. So it was you had to do DFS on a weighted graph, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that was a tough one.
Right. Even my experience was very similar to what Utkarsh said. We also had 4 questions and a time limit of 90 minutes. And one of the questions was a matrix manipulation question. One of the questions was again a dynamic programming question, which was basically a pattern, like a sum of some previous element and some other previous element, similar to like how Fibonacci works. One of the questions was a permutation and combination question. So some pattern was forming, a mathematical pattern. So you can probably figure out how to get the formula for it. And the last question, which I also left because of the time constraint, was a graph and graph slash tree based problem, which was like something that was taking me quite some time to actually comprehend what this actually means. So yeah, I'll try to link all the questions that we discussed, the ones that we can find or something similar in concept, so that you can check it out and maybe try to solve it as well. What happened after that? How many technical interview rounds did you have, and like when did you hear back from them regarding that your selection or something?
So what happened was after that, after the coding round, we had a break of like 10 or 15 days when they reached us back. So I don't know how many students got selected after that coding round. We didn't have a proper list. Intuit contacted students individually. So, but I knew some of my friends that they are having their interviews. Okay. So what happened was we had our first interview. I didn't think that. So they just told us that in 10 to 15 days we'll be contacting you for interviews. Okay. So my sleep schedule was pretty bad at that time, and I was actually I slept at 12 in the day, and my mom woke me up for lunch, and I woke up at 2:30 or something, and I saw the mail that I have my interview first round at 3 p.m. Half an hour later, I wasn't ready for that, so I made the HR that can we get it rescheduled by at least half an hour. So they were very helpful, and they rescheduled it at in same evening later. So then, yeah, I had my first round of interviews. It was a short one, 30 to 45 minutes, and only technical questions. So the interviewers were pretty nice. Yeah, actually, fun fact: one of the interviewers that I had in my first round, we got along really well when I joined Intuit.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So, regarding your technical interview, you said there were only technical questions. So, like whether discussion on your project, whether discussion about like subject questions, can we like get a more concrete idea of what the interview constituted of?
So the first round had 2 questions, data structure and algorithms. They were pretty simple, not really tough. One was two sum problem, if I remember correctly, and another one similar. It wasn't a tough one. So both were pretty average questions. And then we had a small discussion on one of my projects. So it was an API or something. So they asked questions related to that. What is an API? What is REST? How do you identify a REST API and a non-REST API? Stuff like that.
Right.
And then the interview ended because it wasn't meant to be for long. It was scheduled for 30 minutes, and it we took 10 minutes extra, I guess.
So, where was there only a single interview or multiple interviews?
No. So what happened after that was one of my friends received the offer, and I was disheartened. I was like, okay, my interview went fine. I don't know what happened. But after a few days, I heard from them, and they told us that your interview is after 5 or 6 days, and
Okay.
this is they scheduled. So then I had my second interview. Second interview was a bit extensive. It was for more than 1 hour, and the interviews were pretty senior this time.
Okay.
So it started out with the project discussion. we had an intense project discussion, and we basically tried to identify on what features I have built and why I have built that specific feature using a certain technology and why I hadn't used another technology, stuff like that. Then it came to data structure and algorithm questions. Again, questions were not really tough.
Yeah, okay.
So what I have experienced in my interview experience with Intuit, that the data structure and algorithm questions aren't really tough. They are like pretty average in difficulty,
Right.
but they cover a lot of topics. So in my second interview, they asked questions from operating systems. They asked some queries from DBMS as well,
Yeah.
and obviously project discussion. So they cover a lot of topic, and they try to judge you on your overall skills rather than only focusing on data structures and algorithms. And I think that is pretty neat, to be honest.
So
So yeah, that's how my second interview went.
So if I'm talking about talking about that point that you referred to, so if I'm talking about my interview experience as well, it is very similar to yours. And I would also suggest people who are looking to interview with Intuit to focus more on. They tend to ask more open-ended questions, so you don't have a right or a wrong answer. It more
Correct.
has to do with how are you able to first come up with a good solution, then optimize it, and they'll just give you hints. The interviewers will provide you with hints on how to proceed with the solution. I think it's a really neat approach on how to like judge your problem solving skills. So they also ask me questions on OS, on DBMS queries and system design questions.
Yeah.
They actually like made me design like a whole all the tables and everything for a software if you design something like this. And you can like pull in your competitive coding concepts from in those problems and incorporate that so that you can optimize the solution, optimize the resources that are used for that DBMS solution or anything. So I think, as Utkarsh mentioned, definitely concentrate on a holistic approach rather than just working towards your competitive coding skills. So
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
yeah,
Even I have my friends who interviewed with Intuit, and it was a pretty similar experience. Everyone agrees with me on this point.
right. So coming to the point that you mentioned that there was like good discussion of the project. So to the people watching, how important would you say are projects for competitive coding, like for landing like tech interviews or getting a position in good tech firms?
I think it's not about landing interviews. Projects are not about just about landing interviews and clearing interviews, something like that. Uh, my approach has been since I came into college is not first take time to learn technology or do some course or something stuff like that and then start a project. My approach has always been just to get my hands dirty. If I want
Right,
to learn something, say I want to learn React, then I'll take up a project in React and I'll learn React with that. So my
right,
approach has been top to bottom all the way since my first year, and that has helped me a lot. In fact, I recommend to people that you should, rather than doing bottom up stuff, wherever it is possible, you should go top down. You should get your hands dirty, get into it, and just start it.
right.
You'll face issues, and that's how you'll learn.
Yeah, I think that's a very sweet approach. I think everyone should actually do that. And in terms of learning anything that you want to learn, this is the best approach. Just go and start doing it. Come back, if you're getting stuck at some point, come back, refer to Stack Overflow, refer to how other people are approaching that same problem, ask people. But if you start reading the tutorials, then you might just get really not actually motivated to start it and you just get stuck at that point. So yeah, definitely a good suggestion for our viewers. So all right, so now finally you have cleared the tech interviews and everything, and now you finally got into it for the summer internship. So how was the internship program? How was your experience there, and how did you actually like get this converted into a PPO?
So initially, when I started, I was a little bit nervous that how things go and how stuff goes on. But the onboarding was pretty smooth, to be honest. They made sure that everything is in place and everything is timely, and uh, it was pretty nice, to be honest. The onboarding.
Right.
Then we started out with our projects, right? So we introduced with our projects what we have to do in the summer and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So initially, what my manager and my mentor focused on, that I actually spend my time on learning stuff, and that's what I enjoy most, to be honest. I enjoy learning new technologies and figuring out how they work and how I can solve problems using them. So that's what I did. I tried to learn
What
everything, and I
technology did you get assigned to?
So I was assigned a full stack project. The front end was in React and some Intuit native technologies,
All
and the back end was on Java Spring Boot. And they have their own frameworks and all. But yeah, the base was React.js and Spring Boot.
okay.
So I started learning Spring Boot first, Java, because I wasn't familiar with Java. We all hated Java in college, to be honest. So then I started learning Java and their native technology, how stuff at Intuit works, how a web application works, where it is hosted, and how the pipeline, everything.
Right.
So I read the wikis and I spent hours on Slack channels reading about the project and the discussion, everything. So that helped me a lot. In fact, I was able to learn a lot of things in the first 2 weeks itself.
Right.
And then I actually started on the project, and it went pretty smooth actually. Everyone was very helpful and was able to cover a lot of stuff and actually produce a business outcome at the end of at the end of my internship.
Wow, that is pretty sweet. So even my project was on machine learning, so this was a completely new domain for me. But I guess with the support there, the people there are very helpful, and they mentored us to get to that point where we actually able to, when you start the internship project, I think everyone thinks that is it even going to get completed by the end of that particular time period? But most of the cases, it will get done if you are actually focused, and if you're taking initiative. I think that's the only thing that matters. The passion to just learn, and you just get there, right?
Yeah, correct. And also, I'd like to mention, other than the technical stuff I learned at Intuit, there was a lot of uh, non-technical stuff also that is, I think, very valuable to me. First and foremost, when I was working before Intuit, at anything I worked, I thought of an immediate solution to a problem. Whatever
Right.
problem I had, I thought of an immediate solution. I quoted the immediate solution. But while working at Intuit, I learned how to have a vision that how this thing will look 2 years or 3 years down the line, and how to rather make it extensible rather than solving the problem that we have at our hand.
Hmm.
So this was one very important thing that I learned, and the next important thing that I learned was identifying the business use cases of a project, why we are doing something, and what are the needs of the customer or client, whatever. So that is one important thing that I learned.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty sweet because like from my manager as well, like they just told us to just focus on learning and don't worry about if the project is getting completed or not. It's not your, like, it's not something that you need to be tensed about. And as Utkarsh mentioned, like I think everyone had some specific soft skills that you just saw them and you're like, okay, I want to learn how to do that. And it was really a really good experience for learning the soft skills, and yeah, the non-technical.
Yeah.
So for the people who are interning right now at tech firms, what would your advice be for them if they want to convert the offer into a full time?
So from the experience I had at Intuit, I'd advise them to focus on the learning, and especially the company specific tech stack that they have, the company native tech stack. That's what my manager and mentor also advised me when I first on my first day, and that's what I'd like to tell them to. Because when a company is investing 2 months in you, it expects that when you join full time, you know some of the company specific tech stack. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
So now we have a very interesting segment, which is called Would You Rather Tech Edition. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you some questions and you have to choose which is your preference. And let's try to keep the answers like in a single sentence so that we can move through all these questions. Okay. So, would you rather have a challenging project that is not impactful, but have an impactful project that is boring in nature?
That's a tough one. I'll go with the challenging.
Okay. So, would you rather have a high salary job with a bad work life balance or a good work life balance but with low salary?
Definitely the one with the good work-life balance.
Yeah, me too. What about GitHub or Lead Code? I know very different things, but still.
I've spent a lot of time on GitHub, so yeah, GitHub.
Okay. What about Android or iPhone?
Android,
Okay. What about studying regularly or last minute preparation?
definitely last minute.
Okay. And What about having your college classes at 8 a.m. in the morning or at 8 p.m. at night?
Without a doubt, 8 p.m. at night.
I think a lot of folks will relate. So, okay. Now, let me just ask you one last very important question for the people watching. So, what advice would you have given to yourself before starting college? Now that you are, done with college.
So, the most important advice that I have given myself was to explore more. I did explore many of the technologies and stuff that we have, many different sectors. But I'd like to tell myself to explore more because the first 2 years of my life in college, competitive programming was the main sole focus for me. And I'd like not like to lose focus from that, but yeah, still I'd like to tell myself to explore more, go to some a few more hackathons, attend a few more CTFs, and uh, basically explore more because that's what I think makes us grow in college, and that is what shapes what our future will be like after 4 years of college.
Wow, I think that's a pretty neat answer. I think everyone should probably follow something as similar to what Utkarsh said and not like restrict yourself to only a certain domain or technology. All right.
So one important thing that I'd like to highlight is the importance of learning. So if you have chosen that, okay, you want to be a software engineer and you want to make an impact and actually do stuff, then you should have willingness and ability to learn. So
Right.
if at any point in your career you stop learning, then I don't think you should go ahead with this career because it's all about how fast you can learn and how much you are willing to learn. Because technologies come and go, the learning should definitely stay with you.
Yeah, I think this is something applicable to all domains of your life. Anyone working with anyone.
Yeah, probably. But I learned this when I came to this domain. So yeah, it teaches you a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Utkarsh, for agreeing to come on my channel and share your
It was
experience
a pleasure.
of interviewing with Intuit. And hopefully, I'll put up the socials for Utkarsh so you can connect with him. He's doing some brilliant work in helping people start their own journeys with competitive programming or cyber security. So you can reach out to him over LinkedIn or other channels and let us know what company we should target next or what anything that we should talk about. And that's all for this video. Thank you. Bye bye.